All right, all right. Oh shit, we can go live. All right, so what should we start with today? We've already got this lesson done, and this lesson is done here. Right, so each lesson that gets done, we move forward. So let's go to this one. Ooh. All right, there we go. Let's get a fresh page. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right, now. This is just apparently a test run because we've now officially got enough people to go live. So we gotta break through the algorithm in order to start actually being able to teach people stuff. So, welcome. Welcome. We're going to be discussing some things that have to do with religion here. Okay. Now, throughout time, information has been removed from religion by removing the symbolism that gives you the keys that's necessary in order for you to see things for what they are. A few things that most people recognize in the general public is that this right here is actually the inner workings of the brain. Right? And I'm going to show you all of that piece by piece here. All right? Now, if you notice, you see how it's got this arch over here? What's up, CJ? You're the only one in here fucking with me. So I'm gonna talk to you directly. All right, look, I want you to notice, right? See how you got these two right here? That's this right here. Okay. That's that, right? Now, this is the section that you're observing right here. Okay. This is this section here, okay? That's what this is, right? So this would be God's little hairdo right here, okay? That's his head right here, okay? There's the little arm that's coming out right here. Okay, so if you notice, all right, this arm right here is this guy's arm right here. Okay, it's not perfect, right? Because it's just symbolism. Right? Now, if you look, the arm that's holding the ball, right? If you notice, there's a little arm right here. That's this guy right here. Okay, that's this section right here. Now, around that, right, you got your limbotic, perennial, and occipital. Okay, the three lobes, right? So you have your frontal and your limbotic. That's these guys. Right? Now, what's below that? You have a horse below that, right? See this horse right here? That. Oh, come on. Is this horse, which is the pons and the medulla. So this is the base of the brain, right? This is where the brain connects to things, right? Now, you're studying the lamb, right? Which is what your brain looks like on the outside, right? That's the external side. Now, beside that, you see how you have this lion over here? That's because the lion represents your emotional responses, right? Because lions are both loving, but they're also very dangerous at the same time. So, you know, you can get the loving side of nature and you can get the prideful side of nature, okay? So the heart of the lion, right, that's your cardiac bands, okay? So you have the horse, which represents the pons and the medulla. This is the inner workings of the brain, what is known as your aqueduct, right? And inside of that is the waters. That's why you have the blue, right? It's for the water that passes through. Okay, you have the red for the blood. Now, you have the frontal, occipital, right? Look, limbotic, frontal, perennial, occipital, cerebellum, okay? You have the functions of the brain, right? You notice how the feet come down into the area where the cerebellum is, right? Why would the feet come down into the area where the cerebellum is? Because the foundation right? The foundation of your thoughts is based off of your emotional response. Okay. Now let's make that a little bigger so you can see it a little brighter. Hold on 1 second. Let's go like this, go like this. I need it so you can see it. So let's do it in blue. Okay. The reason that the feet touch where the cerebellum is, right? The reason that it touches here is because the cerebellum is what controls the emotional response to the sight and memories. Okay. So your cerebellum is what gives the emotional response. So the feet touch the area where the cerebellum is due to the fact that it's the foundation of all actions that take place afterwards. Okay. Your brain responds to the things that you see, right? What it gets from the outside world. Okay. Now, what's from the outside world is then transferred to the cerebellum. The cerebellum determines the emotional response to it, and then the rest of the brain operates whatever is necessary in order for you to feel that response. Okay. So once that's done, the information gets sent through the body by way of the horsepower. Okay. Because this is your horse right here, your pons and your medulla. This is the part of the brain that connects the brain stem to your actual brain itself. Okay. So when you're looking at these images, what you're actually seeing is the growth of something here. Now, the story of Adam and Eve, right? Notice the 2 rivers. Notice the olive trees, okay? Tree of life, tree of knowledge, right? Your olive. Okay, a lot of people don't notice, right? But this area of the pons, right? That area right there is known as your olive. Okay? See a little ball right there? These are known as your olives. You have 2 of them. Okay? That's your olive tree. Now, besides the olive tree, you also have what? Anybody? Nobody, right? Okay, so it's just me. Okay. All right, so besides the olives, you have what is also known as your pyramid. Now, anything that I'm telling you, you can look up in your medical diagrams. Olivary nucleus. These are your olives. Okay. And this whole entire section, that's your pyramid. Remember when they told you that the pyramids were built by the rivers? Right? Because there's 2 flows of water that go through here. Right? So understand that the word Egypt itself means the temple of God. Okay, that's what the word Egypt means. Okay, it means the temple of God. So when they're telling you that they're destroying the gods of Egypt, they're talking about destroying your ability to think. Okay, so by removal of all of the symbolism and all of the ancient works, see, these are from your Bibles back in the 14, 15, and 1600s. Okay, that's where these images come from. All right, only around the 1900s did they start removing the images from the Bibles. Before that, all Bibles had pictures in them. Okay, so they changed the narrative of the Bible to tell you not to go and look at the images, because images is idol worship according to the new way that the Bible is written, right? But the fact of the matter is that the images are the keys that you need in order to be able to understand the book correctly, because without looking at it from the symbolism aspect of where these stories are generated from, you would never understand the true teachings that are hidden within this book. Right? Because this is a book that teaches you how to be in tune with nature and how You are a part of all of it, including the creator. Notice how God is within the brain. Right? That's this section of the brain right here is what you're viewing. Okay. So now, don't you have a voice in your head that speaks to you? Right? Think about that for a moment, right? Why would they put a man inside of your brain? You have a voice that speaks to you inside of your brain. You yourself do not have thoughts. Your thoughts are in the moment. But yet, while your thoughts are only in response to the things that are coming from your head, there's something else that gives you those ideas in the first place. You understand me? You can respond to your thoughts. You can have entire conversations with your internal dialogue. Okay? Now, there's multiple voices that you hear. There's the voice of the mind, the voice of the heart. Okay? These are two separate entities. Why? Because the mind is here dictated by what is in the world that's external. Okay? The mind deciphers the external world. The heart is what operates the internal world. Okay? Because your heart has one directive, and that's to keep you alive. Okay, that's what the heart's duty is. And so the heart has its own, they've already proven that the heart has its own brain. Okay, the heart has its own brain, and everything that the heart calculates is to save your life. Your heart is the thing that tells you to forgive. Why? Because if you don't forgive, you put what? Stress on the heart, right? The heart is the thing that tells you to enjoy, right? Because enjoyment puts ease on the heart. The heart is the thing that tells you to love everything, right? That's that voice that you hear that tells you that you should be operating from a peaceful standpoint. Well, a lot of times we allow the mind to persuade us not to listen to our hearts. Why? Because the mind is the analytical thing that digests all of the information that comes into your existence, okay? And so what it does is it gives you calculations of scenarios, making it so that your mind is simply giving you what? Possible realities. Notice how a lot of us succumb to our mind and what the mind wants over what the heart wants, right? Proof of this, right? Let's go like this. Right? I want you to think about this for a moment, right? And if you're honest with yourself, right? Your mind usually gives you scenarios that you don't necessarily agree with, okay? See, your mind will trick you into building a false reality. Okay, because the mind is there to give you scenarios and possibilities, right? So this is the thing, right? Is when you listen to your mind, sometimes your mind will show you something like, let's see, what can we use as an example, right? Your mind will be like, don't step there, you're going to step in shit, okay? It'll be like, you'll step in shit, right? And you'll see that there's no shit for you to step in. Right? You'll notice it. They'll be like, hey, look, and you'll just dismiss this, right? You'll dismiss it because you recognize that your mind is just coming up with some random shit, right? And so you look around and you look at reality and you realize that there's no shit for you to step in, right? But for some reason, when the mind tells you something like, oh, You need to leave right now or your house is going to burn down. All right, here, let's do it like this, right? The mind versus reality, okay? Your mind will tell you that there's shit to step in, right? You look around you, you see that there's no shit to step in, you automatically dismiss that thought that the mind gave you as nonsense, right? But for some reason, if you wake up and your mind says, hey, you're gonna get pulled over today, right? This is where you start to give into your mind and you start to create the reality for yourself, right? Because when you can't verify, right, you begin to believe. Now, once you have a belief in the idea, right, because as soon as you get that image of you getting pulled over by the police, what happens in your mind? You reinforce it. You're like, oh my God, where's it going to happen at? You start asking questions, right? You start pouring your energy into this false reality, right? All of your energy starts to go into it. Where is it going to happen at? When is it going to happen? Why is it going to happen, right? You didn't worry about none of this shit when your mind gave you that stupid idea that you were going to step in shit today, right? You just blew that off like it was completely nothing. And guess what? You never stepped in shit that day. There was no shit, right? Because you denied what the mind was giving you as an option. But when it told you that you were going to get pulled over, your gut started to clench. Right? You started getting that weird feeling all day that something was wrong. Right? And then you started looking around you nervously. Right? So what does that mean? You just poured all of your energy into getting pulled over. You accepted that fate that the mind gave you. Now, let me ask you something. Why is it, right? Why is it that you will accept the fate of you getting pulled over, but you won't accept the fate of you stepping in shit? Why is it that you're able to dismiss the mind and recognize that it just gives you random shit on certain scenarios, but you're not able to acknowledge that when it comes to the rest of it? Right? Why is it that we choose to ignore some things that the mind tells us and then dive in fully on other things that the mind tells us? This is something that you have to start to wonder and question for yourself. Is why are you relinquishing control of your reality to something that just blatantly gives you all kinds of false realities all of the time? If you really pay attention to it, your mind gives you multiple scenarios throughout the day of possibilities of things that could be your reality. The ones that you choose to accept are the ones that become your reality. Most of you think that you're struggling. The problem is you don't truly believe that you deserve the things in your mind. Right? Because by accepting the fact that you want something, right? Let me help y'all out with some programming, right? We're going to do some spell casting right now, okay? We're going to do some magic. Let me show you how magic works, okay? Magic is an alteration of frequency that changes a scenario and rearranges a perspective. Okay, that's what magic is. Something that you give energy into that changes the surroundings around you. How does it do it? It's not by physically changing the things around you. It's by changing the way that you perceive things so that they don't affect you the same way. This is what true magic really is. Okay, now I want you to think about this for a moment, right? Because the strongest word spell out there is want. Okay, the strongest word spell that is in play today is this word right here, want. Now, why is this the strongest spell? Because you use this to counteract all the things that the universe is bringing to you. Okay? Because you have things that pop up in your mind, right? It's like, here's that ball that you always wanted, right? Now, but when you see it in your mind, you're like, oh, I want that. But wanting something means what? That you don't have it. Right? You don't have it. You can't have it. And that you'll never have it. Why? Because when you tell yourself that you want something, you're automatically telling the universe that it's out of your reach. Everything that you believe that you're supposed to have, you already have. Everything that you think that you want is always out of your reach, and it will always remain out of your reach. The reason behind it is because you're programming the universe to know that that's not for you. See, the thing is that you'll accept that reality when your mind tells you that you're going to get pulled over. Right? You'll accept that as a reality that's coming to you. But when you see something in your mind that you don't already physically have, you change the way that you look for this. Right? I want you to think about this for a minute. Right? Check this out. This is where you need to realize how much you're actually affecting things, right? I want you to realize this. When your mind tells you that you're going to get pulled over today, you accept that as a reality and something that's on its way to you. Right? But when your mind shows you something else that's on the way to you that you don't already physically have, you tell your mind that I want that. Right? Think about this for a minute. Your mind tells you that you're going to be like this. This is because a lot of you are addicted to negativities, okay? Negative activities, negativity, okay? A lot of you are addicted to struggle and pain because you haven't realized that it's just your spirit wanting the experience, the feeling of the experience itself, okay? You have to understand that your only purpose here is to experience this. That is your purpose. You yourself are extremely crucial because only you can experience these things that take place from your perspective. Nobody can share your perspective. You can share your thoughts with others about things, but nobody has the ability to be you and to see things the way that you do. Nobody ever in history before you or in history behind you will share your perspective in full. Only you have that fucking vault of information tied together, okay? So this is the thing, right? Is you're here to experience things. You're here to experience one thing and one thing only, and that is emotions. Okay? That's what your purpose is. Your purpose is to experience the alternate realities of emotion, okay? That's what your true purpose is. There's nothing beyond that. You don't need to go in searching for a fucking purpose. Your purpose is already being fulfilled by your existence. Okay? Now, the thing is that a lot of you walk around telling yourself that you're numb. That you're numb, bored, and that there's nothing to do, and that you want something better, right? You need, right? You're craving that excitement, right? But where does that excitement come from the most? Struggle. Struggle is the most excitement that you can ever possibly experience. The reason behind that is because it brings out a plethora of emotional responses to things. When you struggle, struggling grows pride, because that makes it so that you can conquer things, right? Because any problem that you have is something that you can conquer. So that's a growth process, right? Struggle breeds pride, success, strength, and let's see, joy, because you're always happy when you get that thing done, right? You understand? This is the problem. This is why so many people are addicted to what would be determined as a negative, okay? Is lack of understanding of things in the most part. But the thing is that you're here for experiences of emotion. Emotions are the only things that truly change and that you have the ability to control. Okay? That's why you love somebody, right? The thing that you crave with somebody else is, the challenge, right? Love is a challenging thing. The thing that you crave in your partner the most is the challenge of keeping them. The reason that you crave another soul interaction, right? A soul mate, if you will, right? The reason that you crave a soul mate is because this is the only thing that is a constant challenge. That's what you're mistaking for this thing called love. You see, a soulmate will bring you joy, pain, adversity. They will bring you pleasure, struggle, conquest, purpose. A soulmate will grow you. You go searching for your soulmate because of the fact that they bring out the things that you can't bring out of yourself. And it's a challenge to be in a relationship, no matter who you're in a relationship with, because as soon as you get into the relationship with them, the thought of losing them makes them extremely precious. And so every day becomes a gain for you, because there's multiple variations of ways that you can grow by trying to keep your soulmate. This is the only thing, right? If you can get a pet, and that pet is going to be your pet. You can get an object, and that object will always be your object until you get rid of it. Anything that you get outside of another soul is in your control. The only thing that's out of your control is whether the person that you're with loves you or shares the enjoyment in the things that you do or not. That's the only thing that is out of your control. That's why you have an automatic attraction to finding a partner. It's the maxims of the human experience. You can't experience the maxims of the human experience without your partner. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a partner for life. You'll be attached to anybody that you attach yourself to. Anybody that you think is yours, you're now possessed by. You're possessed by everything that you think that you have. It's all possessive. These are possessions that you're taking on. Why? Because do you think about, does your television think about you when you leave the house? Or do you think about your television? Does your house think about you when you leave it? Or do you think about your house? Does your car think about you when you leave it? Or do you think the only thing that thinks about you when you leave it is your pet? Because that motherfucker wishes you were there. Okay? Besides that, all of the objects that you have are forms of possession. They have a control over your mind and your life. You don't believe me? Let somebody break into your house while you're at work. Let me and show me that you're going to stay at work. No, you're possessed. You have to go rush to that thing immediately. Oh my fucking God, they stole my... You're out. You understand what I'm saying to you? Everything that you think you own owns you, because none of those things have the ability to comprehend you. The only thing that's always thinking about it is you yourself. You understand me? Your pet will have undying devotion for you. Even if you treat it like shit, it's still going to be waiting on you because you don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? Now, your objects are just going to be objects. You get me? The thing is that a lot of people relinquish control of their reality by not understanding who you are, what your position really is, and how you're supposed to be managing these things. And all it takes is a slight variation in the way that you're perceiving things in order for you to live a more peaceful life. See, instead of allowing all of these things to rule how you act and how you conduct yourself, you should be in the point of the observer that's able to enjoy all of the emotions that are given, right? A lot of people get hung up on their exes and shit like that and get mad at them because, oh, they pissed me off and they hurt me and they guess what? They gave you feeling. They took you through all the feelings that were available, right? Look. Let me see. Is my Maxims on here? Hold on. Let me see if my Maxims are in here. Hold on 1 second. Let's go to Google Photos. Then go to... here's the order. No. I need... Maybe it's in the untitled stuff. Hold on a second. Or is this all just artwork? Oh, nope, there it is. Okay, so this one right here. Pink. Share this to here. Ow! Dun, 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 dun. See? Okay, right? So these are the maxims of the human experience. Okay? There is nothing that you're here to do except for this. You understand me? There is nothing that you're here to do outside of this wheel. So let's run through the explanations real quick, right? Think about this for a minute. See, this doesn't exist. This thing is a false narrative, all right? There's no such thing as hate, okay? There's only loving something and in such a manner that you cannot accept it in any other way. That's not hate. That's still love. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's still love, and it's always going to be love. Okay? There is no hate. All right, what the fuck? Okay, you're here for one purpose. Hey, what's up? You're here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is for love. Okay, is to experience. Okay, this is not real. All right, you've been tricked into believing that that's real so that you can succumb to your destructive ways, right? Because you have the chance to destroy and create. Okay, you could be in peace or chaos. Now, this is the thing, right? The problem is most people only associate... Dude, what is going on with this thing? Why is this so delayed? Hold on. Let me close some stuff. Close that. Close that. Go back to this. All right, now, right? This is the thing. Is these are the maxims. Okay? There's nothing outside of this wheel in life at all, whatsoever. Okay? The thing is that when you first start to love somebody, you start to feel joy, right? Now, you get the joy of feeling like you conquered something, which is that feeling of success that makes you feel free where you used to feel trapped, which raises, right? Makes your day a little bit lighter, right? Takes that weight off your shoulders, right? Which makes your day a little bit brighter, right? That means that you feel more alive. That opens up new possibilities, which gives you the security in your purpose of life, right? But on the flip side of that, you have the anger that gets created. Why? Because anger comes from frustration of what? Of the possibility of losing that joy, right? So love automatically breeds anger and frustration, right? Because that loss that you might take leads you to worrying about failures that you might have to go through, which puts you in this bubble where you feel like you're stuck, which makes that day get a little bit heavier on your shoulders, because now there's a darkness that you're carrying around with you, which is making you feel like you're a little bit dead inside, because as things move slower through the frustration, you start to feel like you're getting older, making yourself vulnerable. Okay? So the thing is the main problem in the world right now is the fact that people believe that this is love. Okay? People believe that all this side is love. And all this side is hate. Yeah, it is all one. Exactly. Because without the joy, you wouldn't be angry, right? You would have nothing to get upset with if you never enjoyed anything. You would have no way of feeling a win if you never felt a loss. You could never be successful without many attempts, so you have to fail, right? You could never know what freedom was unless you had to be trapped. And you would never know how heavy a day could be unless you were able to lift that burden. And you would not be walking around so bright if you hadn't been in the dark. And you wouldn't feel so dead if you never felt alive in the first place. You can't feel new if you've never felt like you were old, and you can't feel vulnerable if you never felt secure. All of these things are products of what you would like to call love. So if all of these are products of love, right? If all of them are products of love, then why do you get bothered when you're going through this section? Why is it that you can't realize that your anger is coming from love? Why is it that you can't accept that your loss, failure, that trap feeling, that heavy feeling, that dark feeling, that dead feeling, that old thing, that vulnerable feeling are simply validation of your love for something, right? See, the problem is, and this is where people make mistakes, right? Is because they'll believe I don't know why everything's running so slow, right? But this is the thing, right? Is when you get into the anger. Oh, what the fuck? Right? If you can realize that your anger and all these things, motherfucker, what the hell was that? Whatever. Fuck it. Look, the thing is that a lot of people get stuck in this section. Okay? These are the main things that you see people leave for. They leave because they get too angry. They leave because they feel like they're losing something, right? That loss is an idea of a future. Hey, wait, why did I take the whole thing? Right? It's an ideal of a future that they think that they want because they feel like they're missing something instead of feeling the success of the thing that they're involved in. Okay? When people get angry with their partner, it's usually because they feel like they're losing out on something. It's usually because they feel like they're failing at being the partner that they want, and it usually feels like they feel trapped in the relationship. Right? These are the main things that people end relationships for right here. This very little section. Okay? Out of all the other experiences, these are the main ones that people break up over. Right? The problem is that you're leaving somebody because you're not able to recognize that you love them anymore. Most people will convince themselves that they no longer love the person that they're with because of the fact that they feel trapped, failed, lost, and anger. Instead of being able to realize that the only reason that they feel that in the first place is because of the fact that they love that person. Which makes it so that they get trapped in the failure, the loss, and the anger. They never make it out of it, okay? Because you don't have the roadmap doesn't tell you what it is that you're missing. Okay? And we make a lot of moves and a lot of decisions off of these emotions when the whole entire time you're here to experience emotions. You shouldn't even get mad that your partner makes you feel this way. Why? Because you're here to fucking experience it. And whether you experience it with your partner or whether you experience it somewhere else, you're going to find these things all the time. Why do you think, right? Look, check this out, right? Couples that stay together the longest are separate. Why? Why is the key to staying together for long durations separation? It's because you experience this wheel every single day. Every single day, all day long, you're going through the wheel. You go through all of these emotions. If you really pay attention to your daily routines, you go through this entire wheel all day long. Right? The thing is that all of these things, all of this shit that's on this side of the wheel, you can find at work. You get me? Which leaves all of this side of the wheel for your home life. Hey, you remember the game Simon? And look, think about it for a minute, right? I want you to think about this, right? Old school relationships. All right, old school relationships. I want you to think about them and be real with it for a second. In old school relationships, the woman stayed home. And all of the frustrations that she had were dealing with what? Cleaning, meal prep, Things of that nature, okay? And so she would be in a great mood all day because by the time you got home, she would already have gotten all of her frustrations out for the day, okay? And when you got home, she would be what? Happy to see you. Okay? Why? Because while you were gone, there was no way to contact you. Look, your mind searches out all of these emotions every single day. All of it, right? And so this is why they tell you to leave your work at work. Never bring your work home with you. Because if you bring your work home with you, you're bringing all the stresses that you went through throughout the day so that you could enjoy your peace, right? This is why the home is so peaceful. You understand me? You're supposed to keep these things separate. Because every single day, in one way, shape, or form, you're going to experience the whole entire wheel, no matter what, every single day. The question is are you in control of this? Or is this ruling your life? That's what you need to figure out for yourself. Because it's very easy to get lost in this wheel. Right? Take out your angers, your losses, your failures, and feeling trapped and feeling heavy, feeling like that. These are all things that you experience while you're at work. Right? You're always worried about losing your job. That's your vulnerability. You always feel like there's something else that you should be doing, so that makes you feel old because it makes you feel like time is passing you. You feel a little dead inside because you're doing something repetitive. It's ominous because you know that you're going to have to come back to it, which puts a heavy burden on your shoulders, which makes you feel trapped by your job, which makes you feel like a failure in life, which makes you feel like you're losing out on something else that you could be doing, which probably fucking pisses you off, okay? All this shit of your experience all of this you can get handled at work. Which leaves what? All of the positive shit for home. And if you manage this properly, right? I had a boss, right? I had my one boss. Sweetest guy you'd ever meet outside of work. Outside of work, okay? He'll come in, curse you out, throw you off the job site, flip the fuck out on you on a regular basis, okay? All the time. He came to work and relieved his fucking frustrations all the time when he was at work. And he went home to his wife happy every day. Always happy to see her, always happy to be. Work is your place to exhaust these emotions because you have to go through this. You have to experience this every single day. That's what you're here to do. You're here to experience. There's no avoiding it. One way or the other, you're going to experience these emotions. This is why the men went out into the world and the women stayed home. Okay? Because that made the woman's frustrations were able to be handled while the man was absent, which made it so that she was happy when he came home. Okay? His frustrations got taken out at work. This is why you guys get together at work and you guys shit talk so much. This is where it comes from. This is why you guys go find that one person at work that you sit there and share all your fucking angers and frustrations with. You're managing your fucking maxims. Okay, you're turning these negatives into positive. Don't you guys sit there talking shit to each other, joking about things, making fun of each other, and that's what it's for. That's what that's for, is so that you don't bring that home with you. Okay? Because you're going to experience these things in one place. This is why there is a problem with people that use work to escape home. No, work should never be your escape. Work should be the place where you vent. Work should be the place where you get your frustrations out. Work should be, because when you go to a job, what is a job? A job is a mind-numbing scenario that replays itself over and over and over again. The only thing that changes on a day-to-day basis at that job is what? Conversation. You get me? That's the only thing that changes at your job. Utilize that. You utilize that. This is why your boy might fucking talk shit to you about the relationship that he's in. It's because he's getting out all of his fucking stresses so that he can go home and be peaceful. This is why you need camaraderie. Okay? Because by opening yourself up to somebody else's stress, you're doing what? You're one, finding out that yours isn't so bad. Two, you're starting to feel successful in the things that you're doing because look at what they're going through, right? So that gives you your win, your success. You start to feel a little bit free about this shit. A lot of people are closed off to the people around them. Right? You got to open up. Because if you keep it all internal, you end up what? Bringing it back to the place where it came from, home. The love where you were looking to find your peace. Okay, these are things that you need to take into account on a regular basis so that you're able to manage your emotions and manage the way that you conduct yourself. Okay? If you don't have an outlet, you're going to take things out in places where you're supposed to be at peace. You have to find your way to get these things out of you. Physical activity is great, okay? But you got to get it out one way or the other. So, figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you don't, you're going to keep running that same rat race. And you're going to keep getting that same result. Yeah, grounding is a great one. Grounding is the easiest. That's your cure-all. Grounding is literally your cure-all because grounding restructures the water, which is where the memories are stored, which you can actually have erased from your existence before they get stored into your DNA and become a genetic trait that you pass on. You don't want to pass on bad genetic traits. You want to pass on things that are going to grow and create better scenarios, more wisdom, right? Okay? So, welcome back to the Book of Johnson. We're fucking live again. It only took 2 days of having this profile to get it to the point where we can go live again. So now we're going to be back full force. I love you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. And remember, either accept all of your emotions as a gift in the first place or be ruled by them. Those are your only options in this experience. Because the maxims of the human experience guarantee that every day you're going to go through this wheel. It's unavoidable. It's what you're here to do. So you might as well start learning how to enjoy every moment and enjoy every emotion and enjoy the fact that somebody's close enough to you to bring those emotions out of you. I love you. Have a great day.